All right, I'm gonna go over a few things you need to know about the digital SAT. All right, so first of all, it's online, right? But you don't take it at home. You take it at a test center just like you normally would. Okay. The second thing is that it's adaptive. So what does that mean? Well, it's different than most adaptive tests because most adaptive tests, you go question by question, and it's analyzing how you're doing to determine what type of questions to give you next, right? So if you're doing really well, you'll keep getting harder questions. If you're not doing so well, you won't get as hard of questions. Okay, but the SAT is slightly different. It's a different type of adaptive test. So let's look at the reading and writing section. So there's two modules, which is really just two sets of questions. So on your first set, you just take a regular test, right? It's not adaptive at all. And what the system does is it looks at how you did on all of those questions, and that's what determines the type of questions you get in the next set of questions. So what's good about this is you can actually go back and forth between questions. You can go look at all the questions right away. So like, if number 5 is difficult, go on to number 6. If 6 is difficult, go on to 7. Go back to number 5 later, and so on. Which you can't do on a regular adaptive test. So that's a good thing about the way the SAT is done. And the same thing's true for math. The math has two modules. The first one's regular, and then the second module is based on how you did on the first module. All right. The other main differences are, aside from being digital or adaptive, is the format of the questions. So in the past, for reading, you used to get a really long passage and then a number of questions after it. So if you got a passage that was like really confusing that you couldn't figure out, maybe it was like some old literature that's really hard to read, or it was like science or history, you would struggle with a lot of questions. Okay, but now what they did is that you get a paragraph. Most times it's just a paragraph followed by a question on that specific paragraph. So if you read that paragraph and you're like dumbfounded by it, it's only going to affect one question. So then the next question is a brand new paragraph, brand new question. So that's definitely a plus in that regard. Another change is that in math, you're allowed to use a calculator for the entire test, right? Because I know that a lot of students struggled on no calculator section because everyone's become so dependent on it that it's hard to do some regular computations by hand. So now you can use a calculator for the entire thing. So that's also a plus. And some of the topics changed as far as what they include, but those are the main biggest changes to the test. So I hope that helps you out.